On Facebook Live.
All right. We ready to go? Good morning. The Inside Look is brought to you each Sunday morning by Gessel and Associates Insurance Agency, where we are busy doing the right things for the right reasons. Joined in the studio today with Frank Agin, Alex Gessel, Michael Morris, and we're going to tackle a little different topic today. We're going to talk about business networking. Frank, I've heard you called the godfather of networking.
The Godfather. That's a promotion.
So there's probably a lot of people out there that don't know what's involved in this, what that means. You've written books, I'm told. There's a lot of things about you I don't know, but I know you're highly respected, and we're Alex and I are members of, and so is Michael, the Tri-County AmSpirit Business Networking Group in Grove City. We need to make that point right up front. It's a growing group. We're excited. There's a lot of synergy there, a lot of positive things happening, but this is what you're all about. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and how you got involved in all this?
Yeah.
And what drives you today?
Yeah, you know, I came to Columbus, Ohio in the mid-'80s to go to law school. I went to Ohio State, got a law degree and an MBA, and started my career in a really big firm. And I joke about it. I tell people I hated every minute except for paydays. Everyone loves paydays, right? But after about 6.5 years, I just decided I needed to do something different. I decided I was going to go into private practice. And a funny thing happened to me when I went into private practice. And the funny thing was that nothing happened. I had no idea how to get clients. I was that bad actor at all the networking events, racing around, collecting business cards and making a mockery of the profession and myself. But I had a conversation one day with a friend of mine who took a different path out of law school, and she went directly into a firm of her own. And so she had built up a firm over those 6 or 7 years. And
Her own private practice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a saying in law school that A students become professors, B students become judges, and C students become millionaires. Because if you don't do well in law school, not poorly, but you graduate, you've got to find your own way. If you do well, you get these prestigious jobs. And so she took a different path. And I said, well, what do I need to do to be successful? And she said, you need to get into a leads group, a tips club. And so I had no idea what she was talking about. But through introductions to a couple people, she connected me with a group of people that brought individuals together on a weekly basis, learn about each other, establish relationships, and exchange referrals. And immediately it just made sense. It's like I can lift up my whole world by helping these other people. I'm not going to worry about what I get. I'm going to focus on what I can do for these people, because it just feels so natural to promote other people and so hard to promote myself.
And that's really what it's all about, is helping the other folks in the group.
Yeah.
And what's the saying, Alex?
Giver's gain.
Yeah. Giver's gain. Did you coin that phrase? Or?
No, actually, that's a BNI saying. I'm very, but that's
Well,
fine.
we're
but
familiar with BNI.
Oh yeah.
Another networking group for those that don't know.
We'll edit all that out. So anyhow, I'm in this group, and they asked me to be president. It was a brand new group. I always got to wonder about people that want me at the lead. It's like, should I really respect this thing?
Well, there is a saying. What is it? Anybody that would have me as a member is probably not somewhere that anyone should.
That's right. That's exactly it. So at any rate, I got really involved. It was headquartered out of Pittsburgh, and I got really involved, and I was on an advisory board, and I was on the phone with the woman who started it in Pittsburgh, and when we were on the phone, she took a call from the guy who was running the Columbus market. I didn't know this at the time, but she put me on hold, and she got back on the phone, and she said that this guy had quit. And I'm like, oh, wow. So now what are you going to do? She said, well, I'm 57 years old. I don't want to be driving back and forth from Columbus. I really just want to franchise this thing. So the type of law I practice, I help people buy and sell businesses, and so I'm sitting there working a calculator as she's telling me about what she wanted to do. And I told her in that conversation, I said, I'll do it. I'll be your first franchisee. And so 15 days later, I became the first franchisee of what was her organization, and I'll fast forward through a whole story. But that was mid-'97, and then the end of 2003, I executed a buyout, bought her out, essentially what I had, bought that out. And this territory had grown to be not just her largest territory, but it was bigger than 50% of what she had.
So for our audience, let's take a moment to talk about the structure of a typical business networking group. Why do business owners come? What type of business owners are mostly attracted to that type of group?
Right.
And take a minute to address that, if you will.
Is
So
it
paint
for everyone,
the
or?
picture for
Yeah.
those that have never been, and why they should consider coming.
Yeah, I'll say from the get-go, it's not for everybody,
That's true.
and it's certainly not forever. But it's generally individuals who are in a role in a I say entrepreneurs, sales reps, professionals, who are in a role where they need to be the hunter-gatherer for their business. Insurance agency. You guys, insurance agency, I mean, the lifeblood of your agency is new clients and new policies, right?
We have to hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a small attorney, I needed to hunt. When I worked in the bigger firm, I didn't. I just had to show up to work, and the partners brought the work. But when I had my smaller firm, my own firm, I had to get out there and make it happen and do the work. So attorneys, accountants, financial advisors, insurance agents, smaller businesses, small entrepreneurial businesses where sales is an important component.
I'm seeing that after being, Alex, how long have we been involved? A year now, maybe?
Going on a year.
Okay.
Since last February, maybe.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
So, and maybe you guys have seen this, Michael. You can tell me if you think this is true, but it seems that as though the perfect fit are some of the younger businesses that are still trying to grow,
Yep.
and or the larger businesses that have personnel that can come. In other words, certain businesses grow to the point where they say, "Oh, I'm too busy. I've got too much.
Absolutely.
I can't show up each week."
Right.
And we go, "Golly, how busy are you that maybe there's 20 people in the room dedicated to helping you grow your business?"
Right.
As Jerry Hunt will say, there's 20 people here that are your extended sales force.
Yeah.
How busy are you that you can't come and be a part of that group, that part of that family?
Right.
So there seems to be, from what I'm seeing, and I'm asking this question because I want to help the group grow, and I know you're extremely interested in that as well. Who are the perfect candidates to become a part of the network? Are they the smaller startups that are, or not even necessarily startups, but are in the really aggressive growth stages? And then is there kind of a gulf in the middle where maybe those people have gotten so busy they're churning and on the hamster wheel, and they think they're too busy to the point where they get big enough where they've got an employee that they can dedicate to coming, or a sales manager, or somebody that can come on in the business owner's behalf type of thing?
That's a really difficult question to answer, and I think a lot of it is driven by the economy. I remember back in 2006, and I've been doing this a long time, there were realtors out there that wouldn't give me the time of day.
Yep.
And then 2008 hit.
They all wanted.
I was their best friend all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
Right?
Everybody's looking now.
Yeah. And so I think we've had this long growing economy, and so you do have people out there that they're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to look
Too
far.
comfortable.
Too comfortable.
Yeah.
And I do hear that from chapters. Hey, we can't find this, we can't find that. And I say, well, just wait. The economy's going to turn, and things will change.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I remember when I was a young man, I started a remodeling business, and gosh, we had to hunt for every piece, kick, scratch, and bite to retain accounts, and it was during the high interest rate environment of the early 80s. Times were tough. You had to work your butt off. Well, today, some of the attitudes I see amongst contractors is they act like they're doing you a favor to come take your outrageously inflated sums of money they're charging out,
right,
and then leave messes behind and do shoddy work. I'm just astounded and appalled at the work that remodelers in general turn out today.
But that is because the economy is so strong.
That's my point. Yeah,
exactly.
To Frank's point,
there's an arrogance about it.
Well, it's because what's your choice? And there, if we went back to between 2007 2009, those guys were begging for work because people didn't have money in their pocket, right? So
Same thing.
Well, that's where the term staycation came from. I can't afford to go anywhere, so put money into my house. Well, those people started rebuilding their businesses, and a lot of these younger people got in, where it was, I'm going to do everything I can to build this business. Now they're so busy, what are you going to do, complain? I'm not coming back here anyway because I'm on to my next job.
Right.
So kind of what I'm hearing is that the smart person would put some hay aside for when the downturn comes, that they bank some seeds, if you will, in terms of networking capital. Right? Make your friends, build your network out, go to the weight room, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
absolutely. I tell people all the time, you don't need to be in AmSpirit Business Connections to be successful, but you do need to network. Everybody, you need,
Yep.
otherwise you're just continually chasing business. Having a solid network feeds you business long term. So you don't need to be in AmSpirit. AmSpirit just makes it easy because, like we've said, you're there every week with 15, 20 people who are your sales force. So it just makes it easier.
Now, I'm told you're an author. Have you written books on the subject of networking, or have you written on other topics?
Well, 2 of my books are novels.
Okay.
Yeah, my first book was a novel, and it just kind of gave me the confidence that I could write.
Okay.
But
Absolutely.
when I first started into what is now AmSpirit as that franchisee, I just did it as an investment, right? It's like, hey, this is neat. I'll be a franchisee. It's kind of cool. I'm helping all these other people.
Yeah.
But what I found in time is that people were looking to me for answers. So I had to start doing a lot of reading and on networking, what made success. And what I determined was there was a lot of books out there that talked about the nuts and bolts of networking. Here's a great 30-second commercial. Here's what your handshake could be like. Here's how you work a room. But yet I saw a lot of people out there who were very good at those things, but struggled from a business perspective. And so I had this insight that it's not so much about the nuts and bolts of networking. It's about what I call the foundational elements: know, like, and trust. Getting people to know, like, and trust you. And so my first book just talks all about that. That it doesn't matter if you have a great 30-second commercial. If you're a butthead, I guess I can say that on the radio. If you're,
Absolutely.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, we'll find out, right? It doesn't matter, and if all you're focused on is getting for yourself, it doesn't matter, if you've got a great handshake. So that was kind of the kickoff for the first book, and then from the first book, I happened to be running into, I met a guy by the name of Lewis Howes, who's a huge name in the podcasting world now. I ran into him. He's from Columbus. We talked, and he said, I want to co-write a book with you. So we co-wrote a book on LinkedIn.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
All in basically the same premise.
Okay.
Operate on LinkedIn exactly how
Happen
you
to have one of those on you in your back pocket?
I'll get you a copy.
I need a little help.
Yeah. But I tell people, just look at LinkedIn as if it were a giant networking event.
Okay.
If you walked into a giant networking event, would you be saying, hey, buy stuff for me, buy my insurance? You wouldn't do that.
Right.
So don't do it on LinkedIn. That was the premise of that. And so from that, I got a contact from a guy out in upstate. Well, no, he's in Massachusetts. He's Amherst, Mass. Just, hey, I'd love to co-write a book with you. I've never met the man. I mean, we've talked a lot on the phone.
Sure.
We co-wrote a book. Never met the man. So anyhow, one thing's led to another.
That's interesting. One of the things that, and I think it's probably appropriate to talk about this. Before we were in AmSpirit, we were part of another networking group, and there were some changes going on within another chapter that could affect our chapter, and the management of that other group came in and approached us as a group, and what resulted was kind of a little bit of a mutiny, if you will, in that
a little bit of a mutiny. That's to say we had a little war going on in Saudi Arabia.
And Alex and I found ourselves at the center of this, occupying 2 different seats, me in the commercial insurance, Alex in the what's called the P&C, or the personal lines, auto, home stuff.
Right.
Yep.
But we found ourselves in a very difficult position, and kind of looking around the room at the group to see how this might shake out. It was obvious a vote was going to come, and I think one thing that really endeared us was, we talk about family, that people in the networking group are, that's an easy term to throw out, and sometimes family gets along fabulously, and sometimes not so much. But so we were at a point where it was a critical juncture, and we didn't know how that vote might go. And Michael laughed because he was kind of over there instigating, poking Alex.
I might have been causing problems just because it was a dull meeting, and I thought, let's see if we can stoke this fire.
Yeah, so he's over there poking the bear. Alex is looking down the room at me, and he could just tell my blood pressure was coming up.
All I think I
Michael
said
Morris,
was, you're going to
Michael
let
Morris
him
was
talk
poking
to
him
you like
with a
this?
stick. But the point is, at the end of the day, the group the group showed their support for us.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to put that into words. These are a group of business owners that you might think are going to look out for their own best interests first and foremost above anything else.
Yeah.
But I found out that day that business networking groups can be very different if you get the right mix of people in there. And it's kind of up to the individuals in the room to dictate who those individuals are going to be, because it's by invitation in most cases.
Right.
So you help kind of build and shape that family and that inner circle.
Right.
And it was quite endearing to see that support that day.
Well, you're building a culture, right? I mean, the whole point of
that's
networking.
a good point.
Because if you go to the different AmSpirit groups that Frank is kind of in charge of, they all have their own culture, but they all treat it's almost like a high school clique, but they're accepting of a stranger. So they want you to come back, so you're part of it, but it's kind of like, nah, I got my friends by my lockers over here, but I just came to see you for a minute.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell too when you go in the group, before the meeting starts, people are kind of giving each other a hard time. They're razzing each other and poking each other, poking fun at each other and laughing. And it's fun.
Yeah, well, it is family. I do a podcast, and I consistently talk on the podcast. I drive home this theme, is that as humans, we have one brain. And that brain has been
or half in some
or
cases.
half, yeah, right. But we have one brain, and it sees the world through one lens. It doesn't see the world through a personal lens and a business lens, right?
Right.
It sees the world through one lens, and so it's not able to differentiate between business relationships and personal relationships. So I tell people, treat your business relationships just as you would a personal relationship. I mean, I get a kick out all the time. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's business. No, it's not. It's personal, because that's how people see it.
It's very personal.
And so that's the culture I want to have within groups, is that people care about one another. And that's your group stepped up to care about you.
Yeah.
They did. They did. And
that could have been a mistake, but we did.
Fair point. An even better observation. But
one thing I want Frank to talk about, because it applies to what Larry and Alex have experienced, is that being in a part of a networking group, it's more than just like a tips club is, call this guy, he's got this going on, blah, blah, blah. What I think is great is what we get to learn from each other. Like, the whole emphasis of what we're doing here was based off me hearing Larry do a presentation for 10 minutes about what he does, but it wasn't just what he does, it's who he is, right? AmSpirit gives you that opportunity to educate people in your group so that you really know what the other person, when they leave that room, they know who you are, right? Yeah. So it's that know, like, and trust, but you're taking it with you. I mean, there was something, I said this on my entrepreneur show, when Roger from Vinton County Bank, he did his presentation. There were 4 things as a small business owner I didn't know that I think he was just kind of whipping through like everyone knows this. I didn't know, and I didn't know about 98% of insurance claims are overpriced or undercovered, right? I learned that by hearing you talk about it. So that's a big emphasis on why you go to these groups and what you can learn.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. So the networking group that we're a part of, again, the Tri-County AmSpirit group in Grove City, we have several different things that we do. One is just one-on-one meetings or luncheon meetings where really we're encouraged not to talk about business. It's just about the personal relationship.
Just getting to know each other.
Who's your family? Yeah. Where do you have children? Where are they at? What's going on in your life? What do you do outside of work, type of thing. But that is so important. But then, as Michael said, getting to know where you have an opportunity to present your business and what's unique about what you do.
Right.
So, but you did something really fun in our last meeting. You came in, and I don't know what you call these little cards, little storyboards you have.
I call them heroic opportunity statements.
So, one of the things that we're encouraged to do is to generate referral business for each other, each member in the group, and we have like any business, we have goals for how much what that represents. And some people struggle more than others with how to find referral business for other members. And that's the challenge that we all have as a networking group. So you have these heroic, say it again?
Heroic opportunity statements.
Yeah. So these are little snippets of everyday conversations that you might hear.
It's just about like active listening and,
Yeah.
and making sure, helping
Yeah.
people resolve issues.
I think that was really beneficial for our group.
Absolutely.
Well, it was fun too to hear how Frank kind of addressed this, but everybody looks at things from a different angle. So it's cool to be able to hear what somebody else sees.
Yeah,
You know?
good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I find is that people who, well, I'll use myself as an example. When I was in a group first starting out as an attorney, I looked around the room and like, oh, I ought to be easy to get referrals. Everybody knows what
Everybody needs an attorney.
Right, everybody knows what they do. You know, there are these shows on TV, and I struggled. And then I started to realize that, you know, people don't. You know, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, I'm practicing law, talking law, you know, ingrained in it. Nobody else is.
Right.
Likewise with insurance. You
They're
guys,
in their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so I always tell people there's 3 reasons and only 3 reasons why you don't get referrals. 1, people don't know, like, and trust you. 2, they're not able to recognize opportunities for you, and that's a huge one. You know, if they,
That is.
you know,
It
if
really
they don't
is.
realize that, you know, the neighbor's RV should be insured, they're not going to think of you guys.
Right.
Now you think of that all day. Every time you see something, you see
Well, we do.
You see risk, right?
Yeah,
Oh, there's a
yeah.
there's a trampoline. There's
That's
risk.
some liability
It's
right
super
there.
fun to just sit around and watch people in the parking lot and go, oh, I bet that guy.
Oh, yeah,
He
this is
didn't
gonna
have a
turn out
bill
bad.
And I'm like, can we just eat? Can you just stop doing that?
Yeah. And then the last thing with respect to referrals is people don't know how to talk about what it is that you do. You know, like life insurance is a tough thing to talk to others about. You could see somebody, you could recognize, oh my God, they need life insurance. They've got 8 kids and a big home.
Yeah.
How do you bring it up? So
Right.
those are the 3 things we need to focus on.
Absolutely.
So what do you think the future holds for networking? What are you trying to specifically do? What are your goals?
Well, I'm growing AmSpirit nationally. I have franchisees in various states and
Okay.
continue to look for franchisees. People ask me all the time, what do you think social media, social networking is going to do to networking groups? And my response is, I don't think it changes anything. We're humans. We've developed the way we have. You know, social media hasn't changed how we fall in love, how we have kids, how we raise families. It's made it easier for us to communicate. I wrote a book with a guy I've never met. That would not happen in a different time.
Absolutely. It augments the network more than anything.
Yeah, right.
Good word, Alex.
Augments.
It's on his calendar, the word of the day
Yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it easier. It makes it easier for us to communicate with one another, you know.
Social media is it's an ever-changing environment.
Right.
You know, we have made it a goal of ours to really study it and try to become as proficient at it as
Yeah.
everyone is. And
Yeah.
Michael, we've had heated conversations. All of us.
They've been heated.
Oh, they have.
But you know,
what is right, what is wrong, what do you need to be doing, what do you need to be
it's a
doing?
good thing because I think, you know, when we do this show, we do it on Facebook Live when we record it.
Yeah.
But we tag everybody in our group so they can see. It's not really about you should be doing this. It's here's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
You're inviting somebody into the world of what you're creating. Like when Frank posts things about his podcast and his tips, I always take the time to read it because I know him. But I got to meet him through going through the group. But I know he knows what he's talking about. If I can pick up something that I could share with somebody else, it's not what he's doing for me. He's giving me free content, free advice. That's how social media should work. Instead, it used to be about pictures of people's food. Now I think it's everybody is so emotionally wrapped up in things. But if you can give them something where they're not upset, but they're getting joy out of what they're reading or what they're learning, that's the whole point of what we're supposed to be doing by connecting.
Well, I think, and we're going to run out of time here. It's unbelievable how fast time does go by. But, you know, one of the things that, as I've gotten in more and more into social media, and I've been very slow to do this, and there's still things in Facebook, I look at all these icons, I go, what the heck, you know, what? And I see people posting, you know, every scoop of ice cream they eat, or
Right.
a butterfly floating by the window. And it's like,
You're welcome.
Good Lord. But one thing about the business networking is that it's very personal. It's very hands-on. It becomes family, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a discipline. You know, we show
Right.
up every week. We show up early.
Yep.
We're on a time schedule. We have an agenda. We're in and out. But man, you got to be committed to it.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I think it's very special. But Frank, I really do appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable. We could probably sit here and talk all day and just kind of let the conversation drift. But if people were interested in networking, what's the best way for them to learn more?
Well, they could certainly reach out through our website, AmSpirit.com, and AmSpirit is short for American Spirit, AmSpirit, or they can certainly get a hold of me, Frank Agin. Agin is spelled Agin. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can certainly have a website, frankagin.com, which connects to all my social media, shows all my books, everything. So
awesome. Very cool. I'm glad to know that. Well, we certainly appreciate everybody being here today, and I know one thing that I firmly believe is that day to day we're in a fight. We're in a fight to protect our family, our business interests, the things and those that we love the most, and Gessel and Associates is here to protect those things. Whether it's your auto, home, business, or farm, we're here. We can be reached at 614-697-2020. Again, 614-697-2020. Or you can visit our website, GesselINS.com. Thanks again, guys, for being here. It's been a real blast. Appreciate
Thank you.
it, Frank.
Yeah, thanks,
Frank.
Awesome.
Good to see you.